What gives you joy in taking care of your mom from moment to moment, day to day?
And I'm glad you asked that, because the first thing I will say is what keeps me grounded is that my family knows I must take care of me before I can pour into any and everyone else. Because, self-care, it's not selfish.
Yes.
We're not selfish by trying to make sure we're pouring into ourselves before we can go pour into others. Because imagine when you don't do that, how you feel resentful, angry, mad, you're short-tempered, you're not authentically there and really showing empathy for what's going on. But man, when you take care of you, so those moments of joy with my mom is when she knows it and she senses that I am all in. The joys are watching her be excited because I want to spend time with her. Not because I have to, it's because I want to.
Did you know that in 2020, there were 53 million caregivers in the United States? And by 2025, this number is expected to grow to 62.5 million. 73% of these caregivers also have a job. They are called working caregivers, and they are invisible because they don't talk about their caregiving challenges. Working Caregivers, the Invisible Employees, is a podcast that will show you how to support working caregivers. Join Selma Archer and Zack on the Working Caregivers, the Invisible Employees podcast as they show you how to support working caregivers.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you are listening from. We thank you for subscribing and listening to the Working Caregivers, the Invisible Employee podcast. I'm Zack.
And I'm Selma Archer.
Selma, how are you?
I'm great. How you doing, partner?
I'm doing good, partner. Doing fantastic. We just keep getting great guests on our show, and buckle up, everybody, because this guest is going to be full of energy. And we just love her to death. Selma, I'm a big LinkedIn guy. And
Yes.
During National Caregiver Day, I was going through a lot of posts just to see what everybody was saying. And the guest we're about to have, her post was amazing. It pulled at my heartstrings, and you're going to find out why. So enough of a teaser. Let's bring on Ebony Travis.
Yeah, hi there, everybody. It's good to
Hi,
be here.
Ebony. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for being here, Ebony. We so much enjoy your posts. And for those of you listening, I'll be adding links as we go, but definitely check out Ebony on her LinkedIn profile and her posts. She's got some really great, authentic posts, which I really, really enjoy. And so, Ebony, you reside where?
I reside in Dallas, Texas.
You're in Dallas, Texas. Well, everybody is probably familiar with Dallas, but I bet you know something that maybe most people don't. Can you share something interesting about Dallas?
Wow. Other than our Dallas Cowboys aren't doing so well. I mean, I got nothing else for you right now other than, we need to level up. Okay. We need to level up. All right. As someone who is a former, DCC, we need to level up. Okay. Oh. You used to cheer and raw for them. So, okay.
I think we'll move on from that one. Thank you, Ebony.
Okay.
All right. Let's get right into this, Ebony. You are a caregiver, obviously, because that's how I found you, with a beautiful picture of your mom, Paula. And so tell us a little bit about your caregiver journey, if you could, especially as a working caregiver.
Yeah, it's a really good question. I appreciate you asking that. The journey began is one that it just kind of happens, right? It's not something that you plan for. If you think about it, a lot of things in life happen, and this wasn't something that was planned. And it was something that just happened gradually. It was in my younger years, something happened. My mom needed me. I had to pivot in what I was doing in my younger days, and I joined corporate America. I said, look, I need to be able to take care of my mom, so I need to focus on that. And how do I do that? Well, it was hard, because I've been doing this for 17 years. And so over time, the doctor's appointments increased, started noticing some things with her mental health, physical health. And it's just one of those things where I just naturally took it on. I have a great husband he takes care of his mom. I take care of mine. We take care of our moms together. We take care of each other. And so for me, I believe that it was just something that again, you don't plan for it. It's something that you do because it's the right thing to do. You know, single mom. My dad passed away after I was born. I'm an only child. Don't have any siblings. Family members passed away. So it just becomes one of those things where it's, you either do it or you don't. And I'm going to do it.
17 years is a long time ago. And I have to say, even though we've improved with the internet, I mean, if you Google the word caregiver, it's going to go over 200 million searches. But 17 years ago, there are probably not as much. How did you go about getting resources and things like that?
You know, it was interesting because a lot of times even I didn't know where to start or where to go. You know, you walk into a doctor's office and I'm telling them that I'm here. I'm speaking on behalf of my mom. And, you know, first they wouldn't let us because we don't look exactly alike. She's Mexican. I'm Black Mexican. And, you know, they were like, you know, who are you? Well, we need to see identification. And my mom would get really upset, like, she's here. You know, and I started from then on, I used to say, well, I'm her daughter, I'm her caregiver, and I'm her patient advocate.
Oh, wow. Appreciate you
saying
that.
So I would just come in.
Yeah.
Strong.
Yeah.
And, you know, something else that's interesting that you share about how long ago, you know, and just, it's been 17 years. Do you know, never used to talk about this in my career, in my early career, never talked about it because I felt like it was taboo. Like it wasn't something that moms, people that were taking care of little ones was a little bit more important than me taking care of my mom who is of age, right? Older.
Well, it's a little funny you say that because the reason I found you is because you gave this incredible, vulnerable post of a picture of you and your mom on National Caregiver Day. Can I ask you what inspired you to do that? What gave you the courage? Since you just said it was taboo back in the day. Tell me what has evolved in Ebony's life.
Oh, wow. Well, first off, I've always lived my life out loud. I believe in being my true self, my true authentic self. I believe in sharing just what's going on, you know, and it took a while for me to get to that point. I didn't share it because I had it all figured out. I shared it because I don't. And being a caregiver is actually a beautiful thing. It's actually something we should talk more about. And so for me, it was a moment to say, maybe others need to be able to share their caregiving experiences or be able to share their positive journey, or maybe not so positive all the time because it's not positive all the time. And so I thought for me, it was just a moment of just saying, hey, I'm not only, you know, a full-time career person. I'm not only a partner, a spouse, or a fur baby mama. I'm also a full-time caregiver.
Wow. Yes. So just based on what you just said, what about sharing with us one of those not positive experiences that you've had in that 17 years so far of taking care of your mom and being her daughter and her caregiver and our advocate? Can you share one of those experiences? And also, how did you get the support and, you know, what you needed to get through it?
Well, you're going to make me a little emotional.
Okay.
Because there's a little bit of pieces I can pull from to kind of shape this. Well, I wanted to be a mom. It just wasn't in the cards. Yes. My husband and I tried, and, you know, we just figured out that there was something else destined and that we were blessed to be doing. So that's where the caregiving, you know, came in. What's been difficult is my mother. You said it, right? My mother. She is my mother. If you all remember growing up, your parents told you what to do. You didn't tell your parents what to do. So, you know, I joke around and say I inherited a teenager because I see in her what I used to do to her.
Oh,
I'm like, Mama, you don't need to pout because I didn't let you have that piece of candy when you know you don't need it when you are a borderline diabetic. You know, like I have to say those things to her. You know, what's also been difficult is watching her health deteriorate a little bit. But here's the good news. It's also been watching her get back to her true self because we've gotten and found doctors that truly listen and want to help her. Heart valve replacement, a stent, a Watchman for the blood clots, you know, cancer. We're dealing with it all. And the journey, it's not over yet. I'm still on this journey with her. So the difficult part in all essence is sometimes wishing I could just be the one to take it all from her and she could be on the other side living life to its fullest, even though she says she's living life to her fullest, because I help her do that. But it's still hard on those days when she just is not feeling well and she's ill and getting sick from the medicine, things like that, you know?
Yes. You mentioned that being a caregiver is a beautiful thing. What gives you joy in taking care of your mom from moment to moment, day to day? The sickness, the advocacy, the fun, the funny times, the times when she's in pain. What gives you joy from the experience of being her caregiver, and what keeps you grounded in the midst of it all?
And I'm glad you asked that, because the first thing I will say is what keeps me grounded is that my family knows I must take care of me before I can pour into any and everyone else. They know it. And I've been that way. My mom even knows and has said it. As a little kid, I was energetic, constantly had to be on the go, and then when I got into my teenage years, I constantly, again, had to do sports, running or tennis. I was always that person. And so for me, if they know if I get my workout in first thing in the morning, I go run 3 miles, or I go hit the weights, or they know, okay, Ebony's good. Ebony Jean's good. All right. We got her. She's ready to conquer the world. And then that helps me because, self-care, it's not selfish. Yes. We're not selfish by trying to make sure we're pouring into ourselves before we can go pour into others. Because imagine when you don't do that, how you feel resentful, angry, mad, you're short-tempered, you're not authentically there and really showing empathy for what's going on. But man, when you take care of you, so those moments of joy with my mom is when she knows it and she senses that I am all in. I listen when I say, how are you, Mom? How are you feeling today? Hey, Mom, you want to go out? I'll go take you walking in the park, and then we'll go get you a little pretzel stick, even though I know you shouldn't have one. The joys are watching her be excited because I want to spend time with her. Not because I have to. It's because I want to. And the joy of knowing that she knows it, that I am not a burden on her. But it took a while for her to get there because it messed with her mental health early on, where she thought I was a burden, and I had no idea she felt that way.
Wow. Wow, that's amazing. You have me so energized. I'm ready to go run a marathon, You're just full of energy and excitement. It's great to see that. It's great to see that. Your mom is a very fortunate recipient of care.
I appreciate
very
that.
much so.
As you are for adopting that teenager.
Yes.
You are both made for each other. I don't say this often, so do not take this lightly, but you appear as a natural caregiver. You really do. If you go back 17 years in this caregiver journey of yours, which I just can't believe you didn't, you came built, ready to do this from everything that you're sharing. But what would you tell Ebony before you even start day one of this chapter? Or what would you tell her as advice, maybe? And this is also for the benefit of our listeners who are also working caregivers.
I would tell her this is hard. I would tell her it's hard, but it's actually the most meaningful thing you can do to pay it forward. She gave me life, and I should be grateful for that. And therefore, I know I want her to continue to live while I'm still walking on this earth. But I'd also remind her to not be afraid to ask for help. And that's something I've struggled with for a long time, is being able to ask for help. And my partner, my husband, has been great. When I need the help, he is there for me. Because, I love my job. I love what I do. At nighttime, I get that personal time, that space. But caregiving is a 24/7. It never stops. And I have to remind myself that it's okay to ask for help. You can't be superwoman or super person to everybody. And most of all, that I'm not alone. You're not alone. And there are many other people that are experiencing and doing the same thing. And it looks different on everybody. It is never perfect. There's not this one blanket approach of how you care for your parent, your loved one, just like there's not a blanket approach of how you care for your little ones growing up, So in strength, there's softness, and in love, in every act of care. And that, you do this when no one's watching. And you're not going to be thanked every day for what you do, but you got to know the appreciation is there.
Yes.
It makes sense now why I saw your post for National Caregiver Day. I mean, you find it, you truly believe that's a celebration.
Yeah.
From what I hear you saying. And so, listeners, we're going to put a link into our newsletter on February 25th is when we highlighted, Ebony and her mother, along with some other posts from LinkedIn. If just a follow-up question, you are not the first or the last to say it's hard, but it's meaningful. But what advice would you give to employees who are having a difficult time and they're not telling their employer about it? They're not seeking help from their employer. I mean, you've benefited from some of that because you speak up, and I love that. I love that about you. What advice would you give employees that maybe are afraid to do it or are afraid of negative consequences for doing so?
If they want to get rid of some of that extra emotional turmoil that they're feeling, they're going to have to learn to be honest and speak up and have that authentic, real conversation. Because if you don't, you'll continue to carry that. And that's a weight you're carrying. But you would be amazed at how many times the conversation will flip to a supportive one if you're open and honest to share that, So I think it's really about trusting yourself to have that conversation, being vulnerable. Vulnerability is hard. I've learned that. It's been hard. But I've also learned along the way that people appreciate when you truly are willing to share a piece of yourself because they know you're actually human.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it took me a long time to be able to share that because people didn't always understand or know me because I wasn't always willing to share everything. But I do. I live my life out loud on Instagram as a social influencer.
Yeah.
I share everything about my mom and I, my family, the good and the bad. I have my moments where I cry, I break down. But I believe it's about being vulnerable and just being honest with yourself so that you're able to be honest with the individuals you're speaking with, that you are needing that support and help.
I have to ask you, was there a particular event that happened in your life, or what specifically moved you from this whole idea of caregiving being taboo to talk about to being vulnerable and talking about it and sharing your experiences with other people? Because there's so many people out there that are where you were, and they wish they could get to where you are now. So what words or what tips or what words of encouragement do you have for them to move them to that space?
Well, it's realizing that caregiving, we try to think that caregiving is more for moms and children, when in essence, caregiving looks differently on everybody, and it's for anyone that you are caring for. It doesn't matter if it's an aunt, an uncle, a brother, a sister, your children. It's different for everyone. And for me, it was hearing and seeing other inspiring individuals share their story. And I started following and realizing their vulnerability and their transparency to share that it wasn't a bad thing. And that we need to learn that it's okay to not be okay. And it's okay if our way of life is a little bit different from someone else's. I can't have kids. I needed to find something else to get me through that. And I didn't have to think about it as much because automatically I was already now taking care of my mom. So I didn't have to pause and think about it because I went into, let me take care of my mom. What do I need to do?
That's amazing. That's very helpful for people that are trying to figure it out.
Yeah, it's finding that inner strength to be able to do that because you're right. It was taboo. It was. I mean, and it was like it would be dismissed.
Yes.
But if you talk about having a little one and you're raising a little one.
Yeah, everybody wants to hear that.
You want to hear about it.
Yeah.
So you know what? I'll tell you, you're taking care of your parent. They're like children.
Yeah.
Oh.
I love to say, people will always bring pictures of newborns to work, but they're not going to bring pictures of their dad's bed sore or the mom's falling down and what that looks like, right?
Yeah, right.
You are definitely bringing the caregiver story to the workplace. I love it. Can we just go to the other side of the equation? Do you have suggestions for how maybe employers can create a culture of care so that, again, I don't see you having any trouble being authentic and speaking up, but let's just say the majority of people may. What kind of culture do we need to have for what do employers need to do to make it more comfortable for employees to maybe speak up?
I think it's starting with just having the conversation, right? We need to be okay with just bringing up the conversation. And because what you'll find 9 out of 10 that is people want to share their story. They want to share what they're going through. They want to share the good and the bad and the ugly.
Yeah.
So it starts with actually just having the conversation, and seeing who's out there that wants to share more, to encourage others to want to share more. And it's just having those resources to help support the individuals through that. You think about various companies out there that offer these extra supports for nursing, for you to have a nurse to come to the house. They help you find the right resources of like therapy, home therapy, cardiac therapy, things like that. So it really starts with, you've got to start to have the conversation. You've got to be able to bring up the question, like, who needs the support?
In conversations we are having, especially here with Ebony Travis. Ebony, how can people find out more about you?
Well, you can definitely visit my LinkedIn page, or you can follow me on Instagram, Ebony Travis, Ebony Happy. But, in all seriousness, you can always reach out to me directly with any questions. But again, as someone who just loves what they do, who loves life, live my life out loud and authentically, caregiving is important. And we should never hide that from anyone. We should feel proud to share that and know how much we want to keep our parents close by us. My mom is my best friend. I couldn't imagine life without her. And I tell her that every single day, even when I'm reminding her to go on her walks. Mama? And I love it because she'll call me Mija. She's like, Mija, I know, I'm getting ready, So anyway, so again, thank you so much, to be able to share the story and encourage others to share their own, and that it's okay, it's okay to be a little vulnerable, and it's okay not to be okay,
Yes.
We need to put you on one of those video billboards and put them in every major highway and across the country. Thank you so much, Ebony, for your energy, for your passion, for your storytelling, for your vulnerability. Thank you so much.
So wonderful to meet you, Ebony.
You
so
too.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
I'm feeling your energy all the way out here in California. I'm ready.
Oh, nice. Okay. Well, you both are amazing. Thank you for what you do and helping to get the message out there. That means a lot. So thank you.
Well, you encourage us for sure.
Yes.
It means a lot.
Thank you for tuning in. Be sure to catch new episodes of Working Caregivers, the Invisible Employees podcast, every other Tuesday. Please also visit our website, invisibleemployeeadvocates.com, to subscribe to our newsletter, purchase our book, and learn more about how we can help you strengthen your workplace to become more supportive of working caregivers.